Right, I'm going blind because I can't see you, so please bear with me. I'm not going to be too long. I'll probably be done by 8:30. And I'm going to go through, just usual, what I do, go through this month's challenge. So, the Motherhood Photography Workshop in 12 months. Da, 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 da. The June challenge is symmetry.
Oh my.
I hope there's none of this. Just checking I spelt it right then. Okay, so let's have a look. What is the meaning of symmetry? Symmetry occurs when parts of your composition mirror other parts. So I'm assuming you all remember doing this in primary school, and if you don't, I'm assuming you remember your kids doing it, or if they're not still doing it, where you paint one half of a butterfly, fold it on the paper, and open it up, and down the middle, and it kind of like mirrors the other side, kind of thing. So this is basically symmetry in terms of what we're trying to achieve with photography. If both halves are identical, then the image is symmetrical. So this butterfly, vertical line of symmetry. The left hand mirrors the right, or the left half, sorry, mirrors the right half. So that's what we're going to focus on. So Belen, I'm glad you showed up today, because in a lot of your work, and I'm not sure if you're aware of it or not, because a lot of us photographers, we do this, but I just wanted to have a challenge where we really focus on being aware of this and consciously making photos that are symmetrical. But the one that you won, with the basketball one, I mean, that was, basically this line of symmetry. If you cut that in half, it would be equally the side.
So it doesn't have to be exactly, because that one would.
It doesn't. So I'm going to go like anything. I'm going to show you kind of the rules, but absolutely, it's very similar to, this is a composition rule, or composition tool, I should say, rather than a rule. It's a tool to have in your photography. But absolutely, if it's not exactly, it doesn't matter. But as I kind of share more with you, you'll understand why an image, in any art, when you see an image that's symmetrical, it's so pleasing to the eye. And absolutely doesn't have to be exactly. And there can be bits off, or you can, break the rule even. Do you know what I mean? But just to consciously have this line of symmetry in the next challenge, and then beyond that to apply it into your work, kind of thing. So for this photograph, the line of symmetry would be vertical. So here it is. So you cut it literally in half. It's a really simple background. Vertical symmetry is the most common type found in photography. Putting your subject in the center of the frame with a simple background can create a pleasing vertical symmetrical photograph. Human and animal faces are vertically symmetrical. I mean, I know if we go down the road, it's like no one's absolutely symmetrical, but ultimately they do mirror one another from left to right, and that's what this photo is creating here. And it does, it makes a strong, pleasing photograph. Similarly to horizontal symmetry, quite often found in like reflections and like scenery kind of thing. So horizontal symmetry occurs when the image is divided between the top and the bottom. The classic example is a landscape with mountains in the background, which are reflected in the foreground lake, for example, like this. So there's your line there. For this challenge, I'm literally going to focus on vertical and horizontal symmetry. There are lots of others, but like if we just literally start just playing with these, because these two are great things that you can take with you with your other photography and beyond. Okay, so I'm just going to show you, as always, a couple of other pros. Sorry, someone's got, I think I can hear a TV or something. If you can all just put yourself on mute and just come in when you want to chat. And do interact if you want to ask questions, that's absolutely fine. So Peter Zalewski, he's a portrait photographer So the quality is quite bad here, but do research him. I'm a big fan of his. He's also a graphic designer, and I wonder if that's why graphic, like lines of symmetry are very, they come from graphic design a lot. Do you know what I mean? Where you want everything equal and the same size. His compositions are clean and considered, and he used symmetry in his street portraits. So all of these are portraits. He meets people in the street. He did a series on twins, basically. So he went and just, it was about a 3 or 4 year project. But anytime he saw twins in the street, he'd ask if he could take their portrait. And he's got a book out as well by Hoxton Mini Press. He also did portraits of people in the street, not just twins. And if you look, so in terms of like Belen, what you were saying, exactly symmetry? Absolutely not. Do you know what I mean? She has a scrunchie on one hand, and one hand, as she folds her arm, one hand's tucked up, the other hand's with the fingers are up. The yellow lines, one of them's going skew-if and the other one's going straight. So absolutely not exactly. But in terms of, has he placed her in the middle of the road? So these yellow lines are leading us to her. Absolutely. Behind her, she's, you can see the buildings, so she's like framed. And if you cut this in half, it's not exactly symmetrical, but it's pretty much symmetrical. She's not, when we look at the rule of thirds, she's not on one side or the other. Ultimately, she's got buildings either side, so it's very similar. I love this portrait of this lady. You cut it down the middle, it's very, very symmetrical. So very different to this one. I mean, he's used a low f-stop, but you can see the background and that mirrors each other. Whereas this one, it's completely blurry. So he's obviously used either a long lens or a very, very low f-stop. But her face is completely symmetrical, which, I think is great. So if her fringe did this like trendy thing where it went like that, I still think that's cool, because ultimately, even though something's not exactly symmetrical, the fact it represents symmetry is what's exciting for us. Okay, Wes Anderson, I'm really sorry. I just need to ask my daughter. She's buzzing at the door. Hold on. Hey, I'm on a live call. Can you go? That's all right. Can you go around the back, please? That's all right. Thank you. Okay, Wes Anderson. I'm sure many of you know Wes Anderson. He's a film director, very, very well known for his compositions, very, very pleasing compositions, and again, line of symmetry. So this is shot from Fantastic Mr. Fox, like the end scene where he points. But as you can see, the line of symmetry. So, I mean, whether you're aware or not aware, once you start looking at his films, especially if you're not aware, you will see the majority of his shots are scream out this line of symmetry. He's very famous for his colour as well, but I won't go too much into that on this talk. There's a lovely film as well I found on, it's not YouTube, Vimeo, which Emily will link when she sends you the email tomorrow. And you'll really start, and again, like, this is what I mean when you start going mad. Like, red's one thing, you're really going to start going mad with this, because Wes Anderson is very well known for this, so it's extreme. But, film, art, painting, photography, sculpture, you'll really start noticing how pleasing, a line of symmetry becomes. Okay, symmetry in photography cleans things up. It makes things neat and tidy, and it's such a good compositional technique. Most human-made objects have symmetry too. Cars, aeroplanes, boats, ships, houses, buildings, and many other projects we use every day have symmetry. Why? Basically because the human brain is hardwired to like symmetrical objects. Probably because we are symmetrical, so it's pleasing for us. We associate symmetry very closely with beauty, believe it or not. So that's probably where it all comes from. So yes, this is, I would say, a flat lay, but it's so pleasing. It's just so clean and tidy. Oh, here we go. Symmetry defines something being clean, proportional, and balanced, and will make a picture appear neat, tidy, and clinical. So even if the background is messy, if you've got symmetry in the foreground, it just cleans everything up. And it's really fascinating. Like when I was writing this talk, 'cause I use symmetry a lot in my work, and I hadn't really stopped and analysed it. So I think it's for me, this is why I wanted to do this challenge, is I wanted to stop and analyse and start really looking for symmetry and starting to analyse why it makes the composition so much stronger and so much cleaner. So symmetry, so this again would be horizontal symmetry rather than vertical. Symmetry is found everywhere. Oh God, I'm really sorry. I thought this talk was at past, so that was my alarm. Symmetry is found everywhere in nature once you start looking for it. I have warned you. I love this photograph. Okay, leading lines. Symmetry can help set up leading lines, and leading lines are powerful tools to help a viewer scan the image. In the beginner's workshop, now I talk a lot about leading lines. Those who came on years ago, I'm not sure how much heavily I went into it. But just to remind you, for those of you, leading lines are basically lines that point really to the centre of the frame, that lead the viewer's eyes into your subject or your frame, what we're meant to be focusing on. So the leading lines here are, leading lines here, there's another leading line there, and another leading line there, and the same on this side. Now, if we cut this in half, obviously there's your absolutely clear line of symmetry. Symmetry can help leading lines, or leading lines are powerful tools to help the viewer scan the image. So when I say scan the image, like anything that makes it easy for the viewer makes it a stronger photograph. If I have to like stop and look, but with leading lines and symmetry, instantly as the photographer, you're telling the viewer instantly where to look, and it just becomes so pleasing. They help direct the viewer's eyes, creating a perfect chance to make a statement. Ooh, Ellen, I think this has your name on it. No pressure there. But I know you like your kind of street photography, and you're more kind of, you're out on the street looking, which is what I've found in your photography. So architecture and symmetry go hand in hand. If you're photographing buildings, chances are you can find some excellent symmetry photography ideas. This would still look good without the aeroplane, but the fact that the aeroplane is there in the middle, just, makes it a boom boom photograph. Food. So this, you can cut in half. So vertical symmetry and horizontal symmetry. Whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter, but I'm using it as an example to show food photography symmetry. And also you can play with it. It doesn't have to be something that, it doesn't have to be documentary, is what I'm saying. You can set something up. You can play with it if you've got the time, or if you want to do it, that's absolutely fine. But ultimately, I just think it's really, really, really fun for us to really play with, what we can do with symmetry. So symmetry in photography is a fantastic composition tool to have in your back pocket. It's an opportunity for you to play, as I was saying earlier, and to make your images more appealing and more impactful by consciously including symmetry in your work. We photographers gravitate towards symmetry naturally. We admire it in other photographers' works, well, I know I do anyway, and automatically recognise the appeal. But knowing a little bit about it and why it's beautiful can help you dream up concepts and create innovative and engaging compositions. I think sometimes, I know this is why a lot of you really like the critiques that I do when I meet another creative and we go through your work. And I know sometimes I take things for granted in my brain. And so I think for me, this challenge, I really want you to kind of slow down, stop, just look at symmetry, because then after this challenge, you can really implement it consciously into your future work. Okay, so June challenge symmetry. So walk around and look and find some symmetry. It's everywhere. So as I said earlier, you thought you went mad with red. This definitely will drive you crazy, because wherever you go, in the bathroom, you'll see symmetry in the mirror. You'll see symmetry looking at yourself. You'll see symmetry in the shower, in the toilet, cutting food, cooking. walking out your front door, a door's symmetrical, do you know what I mean? Like everything you do now, you will start seeing symmetry. How you put that in a photograph will depend on you. To begin with, I always recommend just start shooting. Just start looking for symmetry, then just start shooting symmetry. Don't worry too much about the concept or the story yet. Just start feeling it and just start looking for symmetry. Then you can add the next layer where you're looking maybe to add story to it, colour, and other things that we've learned, kind of thing. So when you think about symmetry, you need to make sure everything's symmetrical. I know that sounds really obvious, but snap shooting symmetry can work. So documentary photography and symmetry is like the most powerful, but it's hard to capture because symmetry, if I stand here to here, this will make it symmetrical, this won't. So it's so kind of accurate where you position yourself and your subjects. So obviously it's a lot easier to begin with to do something staged where you have something symmetrical. A portrait of someone who is standing still is a lot more easier to direct and get symmetrical rather than a documentary photograph. Don't get me wrong, if you nail a documentary photograph, obviously go for it. But just to kind of give yourself a chance, it's not always that easy. But that's in my heart, documentary photography when it's all symmetrical is just absolutely, it's buzzing. It's got everything to it. Anyway, carry on. So slow down and take your time. You might need to make micro adjustments, as I was saying, from here to here might make the difference. Obviously in post, we can change a few things, but just be aware. I have said possibly use a tripod if you fancy. Please don't go out and buy a tripod. It's really not necessary. But it definitely, if you feel like you're photographing a building, just slow down, take your time. Or if you're photographing still life or food, put it on a tripod if you've got one. If you haven't, it really doesn't matter. But a snapshot, not that anyone's doing snapshots these days, but a snapshot will not do. It needs to be slowed down and really considered. And I think that's what I want you to kind of achieve from this challenge. Okay, so just to wrap up, the theme is symmetry. The deadline is Monday the 28th of July, so it's a little bit before the end. I think Emily sent you an email saying red, I think because of half term and everything, a bit delayed. But yeah, so it's going to be Monday the 28th of July for symmetry, and then it gives me a couple of days before the next one.
Okay, but wait, it's going to be June, not July.
Tool.
Philippa. Monday the 28th of June, not July.
It's going to be June.
Yeah. We're not giving them 2 months.
Don't listen to me. Listen to me. Indeed, yes. But then I'll be ready for the July challenge. Thank you, Emily. We'll arrange that. So this is a composition tool that can be used in any type of photography. So family photography, portrait photography, documentary, food, street, whatever. So colour, black and white, anything goes. But ultimately, it needs to be symmetrical. Watch the Wes Anderson's video on symmetry on his films kind of thing. Emily will put a link in the email that she sends out to you. And both of us really want to thank you for everyone who tags us in Instagram, Facebook, or whatever. We're getting lots of buzz around it, and it does make us feel really happy. So yeah, thank you. So I'm going to come back to you now, if I can. You can see the mess of my stop. Hi. Okay, did that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, you can all come off your mics now.
I reckon it did.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, have you got any questions?
I do.
Belen, I can see you thinking already. Yes, go for it, Emily.
How much, or what's your thought on post-production? Kind of how much tweaking, malarkey, I don't know. It's so difficult because we don't know who the critiquer with you is going to be. So how much kind of post-production natural shot, I don't know. Not that I'm any good at post-production, don't get me wrong. I'm not now going to Photoshop an amazing symmetrical image because I'm not, but I was just wondering as a question how you feel about that.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. Post-production go wild. There are no like, oh, just because you shot it like this and corrected it all in post-productions, that's not a fail. Like, if you're delivering something that, like, you're only being judged, I hate the word judged, you're only being critiqued on your final image. How you got that, whether it was with a tripod that spent 3 hours or whether it was a snapshot and you tweaked it in post-production, it doesn't actually matter. It was just kind of like tips that I was kind of giving you that perhaps you might want to experiment with the tripod. I don't know. Maybe, loads of you don't have time for that as well. So in terms of getting something exact, I think, especially with post-production, there's no kind of reason, if it needs a tweak and you didn't get it in camera, there's no reason for you not to tweak that in post-production. Do you know what I mean? And it is like just pushing it a little bit further, because if something is like this and not shot like that, you should be able to, like everyone here at least, I mean, I don't know who else is going to join the challenge, but is totally capable of straightening that out in post-production. And so it's really like finessing those things. And that's what I really like about this challenge is, this is like the next level, and this is what you should be looking at. And you should be having these things pretty spot on. Even if you don't do it in camera, then you need to correct it in post-production. So yeah, so post-production is absolutely fine. Crack on and have fun with it, but your end result should be symmetrical. And when I say symmetrical, I really want to make it clear, symmetrical generally. So obviously, if it's not quite right, that's not good. If everything's like straight lined or leading lines or whatever, but a person's got an eye here and a nose, that's absolutely fine. Do you know what I mean? It's not about having everything perfect at all, but generally the scene to be symmetrical. If you want to break rules, absolutely. As I said, like say if like someone had a trendy fringe like that, brilliant. But if this is like if the horizontal in the background is like that, then that's not. Do you see what I'm saying? So imperfection in terms of the kind of subject matter, but the theme, the symmetrical theme of the frame should be spot on.
I'm looking at my photos, and you're right that I do seem to obsess a little bit about symmetry in them. And one thing that I remember is it drives me mad taking photos of houses that I can't get the angles right. This I can. And I've blamed it on the fact that I'm a bit short, and maybe because I'm so, like the angles that the building starts, going like this or like that. I can't remember. But the windows, I do spend. Does the tripod help with that? The not being able to get the windows quite in the same angle.
It's really lovely hearing you say and look at your work and go, oh yeah, actually I had to do that, because a lot of us we do use symmetry, but haven't actually analysed it or slowed down and thought about it. So this is why this is what the challenge is for you to stop and just start analysing that. In terms of buildings, because you're shooting from low up, the angle is that, not that.
Yeah.
So unless you went 5 stories high, or depending on the building, to get straight lines, they are going to be lines like this. So you can correct that what do you use to edit?
I've tried that correction in Lightroom. It always just looks a little bit distorted. I don't know if I'm not doing it right, or because I see it change in front of my eyes that suddenly it feels all wonky, or I can never quite get that right. That's what's it called? Yeah. Those lines that you geometry thing in Lightroom.
So in terms of, because you can adjust a bit in Lightroom and Visco as well, and whatever, you can adjust like little bits like this, but obviously you can't, there's only so much without it distorting.
Yeah, before it starts going fun.
Yeah. Another option would be to literally get higher, and that's nothing to do with a tripod. It's just physically getting a ladder, physically going into the building opposite and going higher. Do you know what I mean? There's all different. Or just own it. Like, that can be symmetrical vertically. As long as these 2 lines are the same, that's okay.
Yeah.
But it depends what you want. Do you want it to look like your...
No, it's just, I don't know. It just seems to take me forever to then, you concentrate on one thing, you've got this line right, and then you notice that the windows, like you can see more of a window than another, or I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, so, okay, they're not straight and stuff.
Yeah.
So juggling act between vertical, I think it's called vertical symmetry and horizontal symmetry. So there is a juggling act in Lightroom for that. What lens are you using to shoot this?
It's the kit lens, which is 18 to 55.
And are you shooting at 18mm probably?
Yeah, for something like that would be, yeah.
So maybe just try, because when you're shooting at like the widest lens, just try coming in a little bit, so to like 20 or 25 or something. So it will crop it, so you might have to like get lower down or move further back. But it might help with that kind of distortion.
Okay.
And also there's a button in Lightroom. Did you come on the Lightroom workshop?
No.
Okay, there's a button in Lightroom which is near there, which basically bulges a photo out or bulges it in.
Ah, okay.
And that can help it as well.
Oh, I'll have a play.
There is also that auto button, which has become my best friend in Lightroom in the geometry since the course you did with us, Philippa.
Who just said that? Oh, Cass!
It's Cass, yeah, sorry, I was late. Bloody work, sorry.
Work always gets in the way of a good time.
That's true. That's actually really true. Actually, Belen's, when you go down to
there's an auto in geometry. Where? How did I not know that?
I'll put a video out.
I only learned it recently, and I shared it with these guys, and it blew my mind as well.
Oh, I see it. Oh, I'm not gonna go to bed today, am I? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, well done, Az, for reminding that. Yeah.
Thank you.
And then you can always tweak on top of that. Do you know what I mean? But that definitely, for auto, most things I'm like, they're rubbish. That auto blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind.
He already has mine. That's amazing.
There we are. Well done, Kaz, for oh God, lucky you were there, mate. Okay, any other questions? Lou, sorry, I'm just going to say, Lou, you've got a lot of this in your photography already as well. Like your composition's really strong. And again, I'm not sure whether you're aware of it or not, but it'd be really good for you to, consciously photograph with this in mind now.
Yeah, I've just had a look at one of the photos. I didn't have my big camera with me today that I took on my phone. I was like, oh no, that would have been so. But, yeah.
Right. And it is funny because like when we go around art galleries, and it doesn't have to be photography, but any art, like it's something very striking and very, instantly, even Instagram. Do you know what I mean? It really is such a pleaser and actually quite an easy technique once you get used to it. And they're really strong, just such pleasing images if you've got that symmetry.
So is it just the kind of subject doesn't have to be symmetrical necessarily as long as the background is, or
not necessarily
isn't
the scene. So just the photograph. Obviously, if you've got a portrait, so right now, I would be symmetrical. So you could do me. Like I'm symmetrical. God, I look tired, by the way. I'm in the middle of the frame. You cut the frame in half. It's symmetrical. My background isn't, but I can be. What then the next level is, if the background is symmetrical, then that really adds to it. If you've got lead-in lines, or if I had these kind of photos there as well, so it could be straight lines or lead-in lines, or but ultimately if it was a photo just like this, yes, this would be a symmetrical photograph. But yes, you can get better with that by adding lead-in lines or straight lines behind.
Well, I'm very pleased I know about this. Being in Cornwall, there's lots of symmetrical. I'm in Lou, so there's lots of like boats,
Yes.
moored, like that's
So all that, like streets, rivers, like railway lines. Like if you stood in the middle of a railway line, do you know what I mean? And you had someone stood there, just like that kind of. This isn't.
But we're not suggesting that anyone stands in the middle of a railway line. Just saying. Just going to caveat that.
Thank God. Thank God we've got health and safety here.
I have done that, but it was a disused one at the time.
But yeah, so once you've got your symmetry, play with your angle, because you can go low angle, high angle, there's lots of angles and lots of play with it just to kind of find some. And also if you've got, you know, looking at horizontal, vertical is the most common or most kind of, you know, I teach more photographing people kind of thing, I guess. So that's like I don't know much about photography at all. Yeah, it's definitely the more obvious one, absolutely. Whereas landscape photography, you know, and having that kind of horizontal line where it's like, you know, in water or something like that, you know, that is still symmetrical. So I don't know.
Philippa?
What I love about the pictures is that I start them off with this, and then everyone comes up with something so different, and it's so bloody inspiring for all of us. It's lovely. Sorry, Kaz. Okay.
Sorry. You know, the photo that I submitted for the documentary, that was at a higher angle with the leading lines, with the construction site, with the chap on the side. Would he be a distraction because he wasn't in the middle? Was that the kind of, because those lines were leading, I suppose, but kind of.
So focus on, we're not doing leading lines, focus on symmetry. So say if, without bringing the photo up, but yes, I can see it. Say if, take him out and the scene was symmetrical, and then he went in and he was just in one end, I would still call that symmetrical, because the scene is, so that's kind of what you maybe say slightly bending the rules, but that's okay. So bending the rules, whatever is fine, but the scene is symmetrical. So I'm getting the sense that this is a pleasing symmetrical scene. And the scene, it's like, it's not about him, he's just in it at one little bit kind of thing. Does that kind of make sense? Yeah. So don't worry if you're, and if you're not sure, like shove it in the group and say, Phil, is this, you know, because this is new for me as well, like kind of how to kind of explain it, because again, breaking the rules is fine, but what's symmetrical and what's not symmetrical. So it doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical. And yeah, someone like that on the edge of frame, that's kind of breaking it, but it's still really pleasing because the scene is symmetrical. So yeah.
The picture you submitted this in the May challenge is very symmetrical, Cass. So the one, the tomatoes being reflected. So I would keep it for next month and submit.
Yeah, the reflections.
Yeah.
That was. Yeah, that was a complete fluke, but yeah, could save it.
Yeah, that's true. Well remembered, Philippa. That is there.
Thank you.
Is absolutely symmetrical, horizontal symmetrical, but you can't submit twice. And I know you like pushing yourself, Kaz, so you would never do that. Hello, you. Hello, gorgeous. Okay, any other questions? Cool.
I'm gonna hate you by the end of this. But
yeah, you really will. Like,
I mean, love hate. It's a very fine
now
line.
when I look at my like,
very fine symmetrical line.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited. I'm just excited to see everyone's. So moving forward, Emily did explain there is a delay in the red feedback, but it will happen sometime. Hopefully this week. If not, just bear with me if that's okay. Half term is just, I'll probably like where you all are, just a bit busy.
Onwards to symmetry.
Thank you for all your submissions. Onwards to symmetry, but no, I would like to say thank you for all your submissions, because I definitely enjoyed red. I love the fact that you all went slightly bonkers with it. Sorry, but I love it. So yeah, I can't wait to chat. The lady I'm really trying to chat with is called Emma Case, who actually photographed a whole series called Red.
Wow.
Yeah, she
pressure then.
She photographed. It was Liverpool fans. And her father was a football player for them, and so it was like, yeah, so it's like an incredible story, and so I would love her to be the one, but obviously because we're, you know, she's busy with everything as well, but I'd love her to photograph it just because of, you know, where she's come from. So it'll be quite passionate for her to kind of give feedback. So who's that? I thought it was a little child. Oh.
My children are being horrendous tonight. I don't know if you've heard one screaming their head off. They've been separated from twin 2. Twin 1 and twin 2 have been separated. It's
Oh.
official.
Oh my God.
Bedtime
got
gone.
advantage.
Bedtime has gone. rogue.
Symmetry already. He's got an advantage
Boy,
with your
girl.
twins.
Boy, girl.
Damn it. Cut their hair.
Yeah,
One of those fringes.
that's correct.
I'll just tie it up. No, one boy twin's massive, girl twin's quite petite. Couldn't be more different.
Oh, wow.
Couldn't be.
Bruiser, tiny.
Damn it! Damn you, twin! You've ruined my project. Separate.
It's the whole reason why I had them. Symmetry.